All right, today we are tackling a big one, finding the best podcasts for learning Mandarin, no matter where you're at in your journey. If you've been on the hunt for that perfect listening tool to really level up your skills, well, you're definitely in the right place.
So, does this whole scenario sound familiar to you? You know you need to be practicing your listening, right? So you pull out your phone, you open your podcast app, you type in Learn Chinese, and you're just hit with this absolute wall of options. It can be so hard to figure out which one is actually right for you.
And this is where the frustration kicks in. You either find stuff that's way too basic, covering things you learned ages ago, or you find podcasts where they're speaking at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it's all just a blur. It's the classic Goldilocks problem, trying to find the one that's just right.
So here's how we're going to crack this code. First, we'll dig into why this problem is so common, and I'll introduce you to a really key concept. Then, I'm going to give you a toolkit so you can make your own smart choices. After that, we'll jump into my top recommendations for every level, and finally, we'll talk about what you should do next.
Okay, so what is it about podcasts that makes them such an amazing tool for learning a language anyway? Well, it all boils down to this one core idea. When you find the right podcast, it delivers something called comprehensible input.
Think of it like this. It's the learning sweet spot. You want to find material where you get the gist of what's going on, but you don't know every single word. That little gap, that's where the magic happens. Your brain just naturally starts working to figure out those missing pieces from the context around them. And that's how you really acquire a language, not just memorize vocabulary lists.
And when you find that sweet spot, the benefits are just huge. I mean, obviously, your listening skills are going to skyrocket, but it also does wonders for your own speaking. Because you're soaking up natural grammar, vocabulary, the rhythm of the language, you start to get a real feel for how people actually sound.
All right, so now that we know the why, let's get practical. Before I just throw a list of podcasts at you, I want to give you a little framework, a toolkit that you can use to judge any podcast out there. This way, you'll always be able to find the right fit for yourself.
It really just boils down to 4 key questions you should ask yourself. Number 1, challenge. Is this actually pushing me a little, or is it so hard that I just want to give up? 2, accent. Is this the kind of accent I actually want to learn? 3, interest. Am I going to fall asleep listening to this, or do I actually care about the topic? And finally, learner profile. Do you like short, punchy lessons or long, immersive chats? Think about what works for you.
Okay, toolkit in hand, let's get to the good stuff. We're going to start with 3 amazing podcasts that are perfect if you're in that beginner to intermediate zone. First on the list is an absolute classic, a real giant in the language learning world, Chinese Pod. There's a reason these guys have been around forever. They have a truly massive library of lessons for literally every level, from, a single word, all the way up to advanced.
And the way they do it is just brilliant. Most episodes are built around a short, natural-sounding dialogue. They'll play it for you once, then they spend the rest of the episode breaking it down word by word, explaining all the grammar, and then they play it again at the end. The episodes are nice and short, and you will literally never run out of stuff to listen to. Just a little heads up, they do have some loud ads, but you can just mash that skip button a couple of times.
Okay, next up, maybe you're the kind of person who loves structure, who wants a clear step-by-step path. If that's you, then you've got to check out Melnick's Chinese. Now, the big thing with this one is you really want to listen in order. It's designed so that every lesson builds directly on the one before it, and it uses a ton of repetition to really drill that new vocab into your brain. It's amazing for building a really solid foundation. It can feel a little old school, it's not super chatty or casual, so if that's the vibe you're after, this might not be your first choice.
All right, our third pick for this level is called Chill Chat. And yeah, the name pretty much says it all. This one has a much more conversational, relaxed feel, and it's awesome for learners who've got the basics down and are starting to push into that intermediate level.
What I love about this one is the host's method. It's so smart. She'll say something in clear, simple Mandarin, and then right away she'll give you the English for any words that might be a little tricky. It's like getting instant feedback, and it makes it a fantastic source of that comprehensible input we were talking about. Now, one quick but important tip. Try to stick to the episodes where she's speaking on her own or with other native speakers. She sometimes has non-native learners on, and while it's a nice idea, hearing incorrect tones over and over can actually mess with your own pronunciation.
All right, feeling good? Ready to crank up the difficulty a bit? Let's move on to our picks for intermediate and advanced learners who are ready to dive into some more complex, natural-sounding Chinese.
First up for this group is a podcast called Tea Time Chinese.
And I think this one is the perfect bridge for intermediate learners. It's for when you feel like you're ready for something more challenging, but maybe not quite ready for content made for native speakers.
The host, Nathan, does this great thing where he speaks pretty much all in Chinese, but it's super clear and he keeps the language relatively simple. And every once in a while, if there's a really tough word, he'll just pop in the English translation. It's just so helpful for building your confidence and getting you ready for that next level.
Okay, next on our list is Speak Chinese Naturally. This is a fantastic one for you intermediate to advanced folks, especially if you're interested in digging deeper into the culture. The host has a really clear and pleasant accent, and she talks about really interesting things like idioms, modern slang, and other cultural tidbits.
But here's the real kicker, the thing that makes this podcast a goldmine for serious learners. The host puts up full, totally free transcripts for every single episode on her website. That is a game changer. It means you can listen through once and then sit down with the text to look up every word you didn't know and really analyze the grammar. It's an incredible resource.
And for our final recommendation, we've got Dashu Mandarin. Look, if your main goal right now is to understand how native speakers actually talk when they're just hanging out with each other, this is it. This is the one you need. It's basically just eavesdropping on 3 native speakers who also happen to be Chinese teachers, just having a totally normal, relaxed conversation about everyday life. The episodes are on the longer side, and it's just perfect for training your ear to follow the flow of a real, unscripted chat. They also have a YouTube channel, which is great, and they have this funny little quirk where they all try to say the title at the same time for the intro, but because they're recording remotely, it's always charmingly out of sync.
So there we go. You've now got a 4-point checklist to pick any podcast, and you've got a map with 6 fantastic destinations to get you started on your journey. The only thing left to do now is, well, to actually start listening. We've laid out the whole path for you. So the map is in your hands. The only question left is, what's your first stop going to be? Seriously, pick one right now. Find it in your app and turn your next walk, workout, or dishwashing session into some serious learning time.